I'm Corbett Wall with DB Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, March the 22nd, brought to you in part by Ytex Corporation. More than just ID tags, Ytex is providing livestock producers with excellence in animal health. For more information, go to y-tex.com. A lot of things going around in the marketplace and in the news, but nothing more than some moisture in the southern plains. And I don't mean, a drought buster, but we had some moisture in the southern plains. It was wet on the ground in the Texas Panhandle in places, and some of it was some measurable moisture. We had some decent little rain come in. Of course, we never just get a shower. It always comes with some kind of a storm. And then we had some really wet snow, not a lot of it, but enough to dampen things. Go over east into Oklahoma, and there are some places there that sure had some measurable moisture there, and up in southern Kansas for sure. So that's absolutely great, because it was getting to the point where we thought it was never going to get wet ever again. I knew some guys that had made bets that it was actually never going to rain again, and people had already started paying off. So it's bad when it gets to that point. But we're starting to get into a kind of a step where it looks like we may get some moisture this spring. Of course, we just turned spring there over the weekend. You go up in the Midwest, they've had some storms, some winter storms that have been wet and coming across. You go into North Texas over there in the Dallas area and down into Central Texas and even South Texas, and they had some kind of severe weather, but it came with some moisture too, and they had some fires down in there, and seen where some guys were moving cattle to get out of fires, and people had lost some buildings and homes and things like that to fires. But if we can just get into a routine where we get some storms coming across, that will save us, because a lot of people have already started thinking that we're going to be in a bad drought this spring, and probably just because everything else has gone to hell. I think we may get into maybe a normal, whatever normal is, trend here this spring, and get some maybe timely moisture to come across. But talking about the war that's going on over there in the Ukraine, I'm not going to pass judgment on what's going on over there anymore. I mean, we'll talk about how it affects the market, but I tell you what, some of that stuff doesn't seem to be adding up over there. And I'm typically not a conspiracy theorist, although Tommy Donald sends me a lot of stuff, and it may be starting to sway me a little bit, but I don't know about what's going on over there. There's a lot of this stuff. I know a lot of you guys listen to it, and some of you that don't even know what I'm talking about. But with the New World Order and all these things that are going through, but some of this stuff doesn't seem to be adding up over there. But nonetheless, there are people being displaced, innocent people, and there's lives being lost over there, and it's not just all on big media. A lot of it's coming from the people themselves that are living through it on their cell phones and going into social media and seeing things like that. But I don't know. It doesn't seem to be adding up. You thought if Putin wanted to just come in there and take that country over, why didn't he just level it and have it now? Well, why has he got people sitting around waiting and wasting time and putting in these these different deals where they're saying, well, you guys want to surrender, you can do that, and then it just doesn't add up. It doesn't look like a normal war to me, where you just kill people and destroy things and try to take it over as fast as you can. I don't understand why they're not doing that. He's got superior weapons to use, and he's got a lot more troops to use, so why aren't they getting that done? But I want to talk to you guys. I haven't given you an update for a while on the Cattle Price Discovery and Transparency Act, and you think, well, since NCBA said that they're not going to approve any mandates, and they're going to oppose all mandates that come through, that the thing went away. No, it did not go away. But we haven't seen any news on it, and we know that we need to get going on it. What's the problem? Well, the problem is in the House of Representatives, and we're not getting any movement through it out there. We've got it in the Senate, and so that and we've got plenty of sponsors on it, and we've got plenty of support in the Senate, and now we're just waiting for the House to get something done on it. Well, we knew that our best Ag Committee hearing there was in the Senate, and you heard where we had Justin Tupper knock it out of the park for the U.S. Cattlemen's Association, and then NCBA sent people in there that said, I don't know why we need to do anything. If you guys were rich like me and you had a safety deposit box full of U.S. premium beef shares, you guys would be fine. Well, yes, that would be good, but the hell of it is, most of the cattle are produced by people that have less than 100 cows, and their wife has a job in town, and they're usually doing something on the side to try to make a living too. And so those are the kind of people that we need to push forward on this deal. Well, we need to get after the House of Representatives. The main ones we need to get after it are the ones on the committee there. David Scott from Georgia, G.T. Thompson from Pennsylvania, Jim Costa from California, and the main one, guys, and I know I got a lot of listeners in South Dakota, is Dusty Johnson. He's the leader as far as livestock things go, so we've got to get something going. The way you do that is you call in there and you talk to a staffer, or you leave a message or something. They've got to document all that, and they do pay attention, but that main switchboard is 202-225-3121. You call in there, you tell them where you're at, and then who your representative is, and then you light a fire under them and get something going. But the grassroots people are the ones that are getting something done here. And actually, your suits and your biggest trade organizations, and namely your National Cattlemen's Beef Association there, or National Corporate Beef Association, that we've called it before, they're not in the best favor whenever it comes to this bill, because some of the authors of it don't have the best opinion of them. And you wonder, well, why not? Well, we saw evidence of that come out already this week, as I saw an op-ed in the AgriPulse publication there that Vice President of Government Affairs for NCBA, Ethan Lane, wrote a pretty lengthy op-ed there talking about how we're burning daylight, we need to get something done. But if you get into reading it, it totally just criticizes your congressional ag committees and for wanting to do something, when basically he says that we don't need to do anything, but he wants to go on and go with what they've already pretty much got passed, which is the transparency, and wants to go ahead and do that. And he's talking about some they need to get to work on some of the issues that are crippling the industry, like labor issues. Well, we've got millions of them coming over from the southern border that would be more than happy to take those jobs in those packing plants that they're talking about. And if you guys or not own, but if you have college-age children, you know that it's easy enough to get a pretty good looking identification there. So those people can get jobs in there. There's people that want to work in those plants, and they can get the education that they need from their relatives and other people that they know there. But tell you what, that was a scathing op-ed that he put out there. And he also said that without naming names, he was really critical of the champion of really the cattlemen, as far as any congressman has been, is the Senator Charles Grassley from Iowa. And he didn't name Charles Grassley in there, but he did quote him where Charles Grassley had said in frustration that any group that disagrees with their stated position of wanting to get something done with minimum mandates on negotiated trade and things like that is clearly corrupt, disingenuous, and under the sway of a vast conspiracy. Well, evidently that hit a nerve. Because when you got somebody with that much clout, as Charles Grassley does, and you come in there and start poking fun at them and criticizing them in a widely read op-ed there, that is one of the reasons that they don't are not in the best favor right now. But you guys look at that and see what I think. You can look it up at AgriPulse there, but it was an op-ed that was written there by Vice President of Government Affairs, but you guys take a look at it. Let's talk about your board on Monday, excuse me. This is Monday's board for Tuesday's report here. April live cattle futures were down 45 cents at 140.5. June was down 72 at 136.35. Going your back months, your live cattle, they were down 32 cents to up 62. March feeder cattle down because grains were up big again. March feeder cattle down 90 at 156.10. April's down $1.12 at 161.20. Your back months on feeder cattle down 42 to down $1.70. Talk about your grains. Corn was up 14.5 cents during normal trading on Monday at 7.56 1/4. Beans were up 23 at 16.91. Kansas City hard red winter wheat up 42 3/4 cents. And now this is not just knee-jerk stuff from the war in Ukraine. It's just continuing here at 11.13 1/4 cents a bushel for hard red winter wheat. How about your weighted average on last week's negotiated fed cattle trade in your 5-area feeding region? 60,500 head. Compare that to 70,900 the previous week, 70,400 same week a year ago. And it was kind of mixed as we talked on our previous visit, but there was some trade that happened late Friday. And you think that these packers don't pay that much attention or they're not trying to manipulate things. That's all they do. The biggest thing that they can control is what they pay for those cattle. That and what they show us that they get paid for their cutout values, which the reports that we get from on our box beef report are actually thinner in the trade as a representative of the trade is what our negotiated cash is on the fat cattle side. So, they traded late Friday after normal days reporting had been done through NPR, and it totally changed our weighted average. And it was better than what we thought it was. And I'm telling you about it now. As through Thursday there last week, we had thought that our live weighted average on steers was up just 30 or 40 cents, and our dress trade was down at 25 cents a hundred. Actually, they were up, and they were up quite a bit because of some late Friday trade. Live sales for last week, 136 to 143, steady to $3 higher. There was only 91 head at 136, only 38 head at 143, but a lot of cattle in there at 138 to 140, 141, and there was quite a bit of 142 there late Friday that really didn't get reported that widely, but it was sure there, some 142 late Friday. Your live sale weighted average on steers, 139.10, that was up 80 cents compared to the previous week. Dress market, $2 to $3 higher from 220 to 225, and there was 649 head at 225, and not a lot of cattle sold dress, so that was fairly significant. Dress steers weighted average 221.68, and that was up 57 cents compared to the same week a year ago. Nationwide, 74,900 head sold negotiated, and we kept hearing reports last week of a lot of cattle selling out front. Selling cattle for 2 to 3 week delivery. No, there wasn't. It was there were 74,900 head negotiated nationwide. 16,700 of those, or only 22%, were for the 15 to 30 day delivery. That's not as much as usual. Normally we're in around the 30 percentile. So that wasn't that much. They're not setting us up. We still got opportunity to gain ground here. But 74,900 negotiated last week. Just 27,800 negotiated grid. 261,200 of formula sales there. Box beef cutout values. Choice cuts were up 34 cents at 258.50 Monday afternoon. Select up $1.85 at 250. It seems like they've sure turned around and have found some footing, and seasonally, like they should, they're going to start going up. Let's talk about what else is going on. Beaver County Stockyards, Beaver, Oklahoma. Now that is in the dry part of Oklahoma. I talked to Jeff Slatton there. They hadn't got any measurable moisture at all. He said it was spitting on his windshield there when I talked to him. But the meat of Oklahoma, most all of it, got pretty wide scattered showers, just not the Texas or the Oklahoma Panhandle. And they're over there on the eastern side of the Oklahoma Panhandle. He said they're only going to have about 1,500 head of cattle for their Tuesday sale. And I said, well, what happened? It's because of the weather. And he said, no, they're just not out there. Just not that many cattle left out there. And said it's just going to kind of be like this for a while. So, you can view and bid that sale, dvauction.com. Good place to market cattle if you're interested in doing that. But check out Beaver County Stockyards, Beaver, Oklahoma. Let's talk about your feeder cattle market. Your real-time index, based on an 800-pound steer in your cash markets and your sale barns up through the middle 12 states, put together by Cattle Market Central through DV Auction, brought to you by Margin Tracks by Midcon. Ended the trading on Monday at 155.61. That's exactly steady with what we ended last week with. Exactly steady on a 7-day moving average with over 30,000 head of cattle in it. So that's significant. It's never steady. It was exactly the same after Monday's trade as it was at the end of last week. But look at your big sales on Monday. Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City, 8,700 head there. Feeder steers were steady to $3 higher, but all your other classes, feeder heifers, calves, didn't have a lot of stockers really there, but everything else, lightweights, unevenly steady. But that's kind of the way I thought it would be, as we're just kind of searching for direction now. We're caught up. We're not uneven to start this week here as far as our markets. Our big Monday sales were some higher last week. All of our sales were higher. But we were looking for direction to start this week, and it just looks kind of steady to firm as far as Oklahoma City is, and that's our nation's feeder cattle market on a Monday. Joplin Regional Stockyards, not far behind there, 7,000 head there. Now they just mostly had calves and stocker type cattle, and they were sharply higher. And you think, well, why would they be sharply higher there? Most of the cattle that get turned out in the Flint Hills and the Osage come from Missouri area. So that you have buyers there that are buying for that part of the country to turn out. They're getting some moisture there in the Flint Hills and areas like that. They're going to have some grass. Maybe guys were waiting to see what they could turn out. But, you go up there in the central part of Missouri there, and a lot of those cattle that are in the best parts of the Flint Hills are bought right in there. And they're upgrading kind of cattle. They're mostly black, and they do really well out there. But let's talk about some of your other markets and some stick-out deals. Talking about Oklahoma City, National Livestock Commission there, they share their market data with us there. And look at these strings of 5-weight steers sold by National Livestock there in Oklahoma City on Monday. And all of them strings there, pretty good head counts in them, and all well over $2 a pound. So, it's not like people are getting any cheap buys on these stocker type calves. How about one of the sale barns that I really like, F&T Livestock Market. That's in Palmyra, Missouri. The reason I like F&T, the original name of that was Farmers and Traders, but they changed it to F&T. But I just love that Farmers and Traders Livestock Market in Palmyra, Missouri. It's a good sale barn there, and that's on extreme eastern Missouri, right on the Illinois line. 50 head, 706 pound steers, bring 171.50. Very impressive there. How about Sioux Falls Regional Livestock, Worthing, South Dakota? Look at this string of loads of cattle right here, and you said, well, they're all in the 140s. Well, yeah, they're all in the 9-weight category of over 1,000 pounds. And I tell you what, with cost of gains like what we're looking at, guys, it's unbelievable to me how guys are giving into the 40s for cattle that are that heavy. But look at all these 9-weight up to over 1,000 pound loads of steers, bringing from 142.75 to 147. But the best quote that I saw anywhere on Monday, your Row Grow top quote for the day, come out of Aberdeen Livestock Sales in Aberdeen, South Dakota. 67 head, 760 pound steers, bring $172. And that's your feeder flash for Tuesday.